Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the DMC channel. After video 2 came out, I had a request from someone wanting more information on how to build a filter in the report. They had seen the filter that I had built for this hospital discharge follow-up, and they wanted more information on how you could do that. So let's just, I didn't want to run that. I want to stay in design. And let's see. Come on. Trying to get into the format filter. So there's my filter, but I'm just going to quickly delete it, and then we'll rebuild it so I can show you step by step as to how it was created. So for this particular filter, the first thing we wanted to do was specify a date range. We wanted a start date and an ending date, so we can run this report anytime. So say we wanted the month of November, we could put November 1 to November 30. So let's get started by adding a condition. And when you add a condition, you get your filter box coming up. And we will click on here. Come on, there we go. And we are going to look at the single appointment view date. So I'm going to click here, and we're not going to say equals, we're going to say between, because we want to start and an end. And then one of the nice features of Jreport is it's got some built-in functions. So we can hit, again, the three little dots there, go to global parameters, and I'm just going to move this up so it's easier to see. And you'll notice that we've got a field here called P start date. So we're going to put that in as the first date, and then we're going to do an and it's too bad it just wouldn't keep that box up, but it doesn't. So you have to hit the down arrow, and again scroll down, and then you'll see P end date. So we're going to put that in. So right now the filter, if we ran it, would ask us for a start date and an end date, but nothing else. So it would just run it on all our data for all our clinicians for that time period. We want it to be a bit more defined than that, so we're going to add another condition, and you'll notice how it adds a second line here, and it just assumes it's an and. I'll get in a bit later and tell you how we can change that. But for this particular report, we want to show only hospital discharge reports. Now, I had done some testing, and I found that the hospital discharge type was just the word hospital with a capital H, and then discharge blah blah blah. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go into appointment type name. We're going to filter on that. That'll tell us the name of the appointment type. And we're going to say like. We're not going to say equal. We're going to say like, because I'm going to use a wildcard here. And the wildcard in Jreport is the %sign. And then we're going to have hospital. And then we're going to have another %sign. And so this is basically saying, at this point, we're going to take any data between the start and end date and any appointment type that is like, and that has the word hospital with a capital H in it. So it could be hospital discharge follow-up with a capital H. If it has a lowercase h, it won't work. And there are, at least in our database, there were some that had different options, like a lowercase hospital visit or something like that. But we'll just leave it at this for now, because that's what works in our database. But then when I ran this report, I noticed that I was getting multiple appointments for the same person on either the same day or different dates. And when I did some more digging, I found out that whenever you moved an appointment or assigned it to another provider, say originally you'd set it up for Dr. Jones, but then you moved it to Dr. Smith, it would actually show up as being deleted in Dr. Jones and added to Dr. Smith. So there was this blank record sitting there, but it was populating in the report. So I'm going to add another condition, and the condition is the single appointment view. Let me just expand this so we can see it all. And there should be one here called app deleted. Here we go. Single appointment view, appointment deleted. So we're going to click on there, and we're going to say equals to no. So if any of the reports were deleted, or sorry, the appointments were deleted or got moved and the system automatically deleted them, we don't want to show those. We just want to show the final one that was made. So if we put this in, now it's not going to show all those other appointments that are not relative to our data. Let's see, now we want to add in what providers we want to search on, because we don't want to search on all our deck team, all our gain team, because they don't do hospital discharge follow-ups anyways, and it just makes the report run longer. So we're going to add another condition, and we're going to, again, open up the fields that we want to look at, and we're going to say single appointment view provider name. So here's a primary provider name. That was the person who was booked for the appointment. And we're going to say is in, and then I'm going to throw in one of those groups that I created in the previous video to filter out staff. So we're going to say is in doctors. Okay? But we also want to show our RPNs and our NPs. So we're going to add another condition. And again, we're going to go down here. And we're going to choose provider name. And we're going to say it's in. And we're going to say, well, not say, but we're going to pick out staff NPs. And then we're going to go and add one more condition, because we also want them if they saw an RPN. So we're going to do provider name again, and is in. This is another frustrating thing. I wish it would make this pop up the same place you left it at, but it doesn't. It defaults down at the bottom. And we're going to choose RPNs. We don't have any RNs that do follow-ups. In our primary care, we just have doctors, NPs, and RPNs. So right now, our condition is saying single appointment views between start date and end date, and, because you'll notice that it says and out here, it's like the type name contains hospital, and the appointment is not deleted, and the provider name, sorry, is in staff doctors, and the provider name is in staff NPs, and the provider name is in RPNs. Well, that's not going to work, because when you have three ands on the same field, well, you're not going to have the same person being a doctor, an NP, and an RPN. That's just not going to work. These first three will work fine. And that's the way we'd want it to work. But these three, we want those to be ORs. We want it to be either a staff doctor or an NP or an RPN. So what we have to do is we have to group them. But you'll see that group is grayed out. So we're going to click on the first one, click on the second one, and click on the third one. You may be able to just do the first and the last. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, it's hard to tell that you've actually selected them. I can tell just by this little faint outline around each of the boxes, and that the word group is now blacked out. So I can hit group, and now it automatically indents them. And so now we've developed our filter a bit more, but we want to make these ORs. So hit the down arrow and choose OR. So now our filter is going to say, okay, we want all appointments between the start and the end date. The appointment name is like hospital, and the appointment status is not deleted. Then we're going to say the provider is in the staff doctors or staff NPs or RPNs. So at this point here, we can say OK. And for this particular report, I'm just going to do something here. I'll show you something else you can do too. This field here, I don't want to show our provider names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here at the top. I'm going to right click, and I can say hide column. And what this will do is it's not going to display this column when I run the report. You can do the same thing on any of the rows as well. You just click on it, right click, and you can say hide. So if you ever need to hide a row for any reason, that's the way you can do it. But for now, we're just going to do the provider, and you can tell whether it's hidden or not just by clicking on the header. So that one's hidden because it's red. Oh, that one's not. That one's not. None of the other columns are hidden, and likewise, the patient fields are. The rows are not hidden. So let's now view this. I've selected December 1, December 16 when I was on here just a few minutes ago. So we're going to hit OK. And now we get a report showing our hospital discharge follow-ups that happened in December. And if it showed the name here, you would see the name of our doctor, NP, or RPN. And that's all there is to it. You'll notice that the appointment name happened to be hospital, DC for discharge, FU for follow-up. Sort of a bad selection of lettering, but those things happen once in a while. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit long, but I hope it helped you in working on filters. Filters can become a lot more complex too. Let me just go back in for a minute. You can start nesting them several deep. So say you needed to put a filter on the staff doctors for some reason. You can add, another line in here, add a condition, and then group that. Let me just do something here. I have no idea what I'm going to do. It probably won't even make sense. But let's see. Let's say for the doctors, we only wanted to see well, this isn't a good example, but I'm just going to stick it in anyways. We wanted to change the appointment date. So here we could do a between, Oh, I gotta put something in. Or let's just say equal to, no, let's do between. And then we gotta do the start and end. That's a pain in the neck because it doesn't always take the first time you double click on it. There we go. And then we could group this together. You could again highlight those two cells, group them, and now the filter is going to go one extra level and say that if it's a doctor, then it would have to be between a start and an end date, and you could define a different date than you did up here. But again, that's getting more complex, but you can build all sorts of complexity into these things, and you just got to do trial and error. Usually I don't try to build too many filters at one time. I start with just one or two. That way if I run into problems, I'm not trying to figure out which of the 6 or 7 filters it is that's not producing data. So I'll start with one, like between dates, make sure it works. So yeah, it's pulling all the dates. Then I'll add in like the type name that I'm looking for, and then I'll run it again. Yep, that's working. Then I want to say get rid of all the deleted ones and add that in, and yep, that's working. Whereas if you take a big swing at it, sometimes it could be in one of any 7 or 8 filters. Anyways, sorry for the little addendum there, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you if you are interested, just go down to the bottom, hit subscribe, ring the bell if you like the video, and thank you for watching.